And welcome everyone to the Donovan Live post-game show here on WKYC's Facebook Live, also on YouTube as well, as we get you ready for the Cavaliers and the Warriors Game 1 of the NBA Finals starting just after 9 o'clock tonight. Jimmy, I got to tell you, I've been kind of loose and just kind of, it's Finals Day, it's no big deal. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was your Sterling Open on Donovan Live, but at 7 o'clock or just after 7, that pit of my stomach hit, and it's like, it's the nerves. It's like, it's arrived. It's Finals Day.
Absolutely. And it's been a long wait. And it's been a long wait, in between the conference final and now to the NBA Finals. But it's been an even longer wait because it has been so given, really, that these two teams were going to meet. And the fact that we've had to wait so long through a long season. And, I think everyone is just very, very excited for it to begin. I think nationally people really want this to be a great series. I think out at Golden State, out in the Bay Area, I think they want it to be a quick series, okay? I think the longer the series goes, I think it more swings towards the Cavaliers having a real possibility of doing what they did last year and coming back and winning it. So the longer the series goes, and really the longer each game goes as far as, tightness and score, I think that leans towards the Cavs. Because I think the Cavs have broken Golden State's down mentally in tight games. Christmas Day, the ability to come back from 14 points back. A Game 7 last year. And the whole series, the 3-1 deficit and coming back from that. I think that is really in Golden State's mind. That's why I think Golden State, in each game, and this is the way they play anyway, but certainly against the Cavs, I think they look for a big lead right away.
But
I think that and they surge a lot. And sometimes if they get a quick surge, that surge can last an entire game. So I think that's what they're looking for, a quick, big lead in the game. The longer it's tight, I really believe it favors Cleveland.
I get the feeling, and it was like this last year and the year before, that from a national perspective, the addition of Durant really is making Golden State a heavy favorite. I did a lot of research on this last night. I think of ESPN's 30 people that cover the NBA, I think only 5 of them are picking the Cavs to win the series. And that ratio has been pretty much true for most other national publications. And I get the feeling it's maybe people remember the Cavaliers, the early April version of the Cavaliers, and we certainly remember that. They respect the fact that Durant really makes Golden State even more dangerous than they were, and they're not buying into the fact that the Cavs can repeat.
Yeah, well, and it's a natural thing to do, and it's a learned basketball thing to do also, because you have to take a look at who was in the series last year, who isn't in the series now because Kevin Durant's here. Harrison Barnes.
Right.
I mean, is Kevin Durant better than Harrison Barnes? At birth, he was better than Harrison Barnes. Okay. I mean, you take a look at a player like that, that's a big difference in the game. Now, where that will really be dictated in this series is that becomes, a huge defensive assignment that the Cavs maybe didn't have to put as much attention in to last year. Maybe they could focus a lot more on Curry and Thompson last year, and they're going to have to, find a way to play Durant. You just don't have a better player in there. You have a huge offensive force. I mean, this guy can put up 35 in a game. He had 36 on Christmas Day, but didn't score in the last, 5 minutes of the game. And, I mean, you come out of the game and saying, wow, he didn't do it again down the stretch, but he had 36 in the game. So I think that really when you look at it, it's a very, very different team with Durant. And it's got so much more firepower, but it has so much more defensive responsibility for the Cavs.
Yeah, because we've seen LeBron James spend a lot of time in the postseason against Indiana, Toronto, and Boston. We talked about being, really a safety man, a rover, and not having one player in particular to be responsible for. I would assume that a large part of his responsibility is going to have to be guarding Durant. He can't just roam around nearly as much. I mean, maybe in certain situations he can, but he can't roam around as much because Golden State's just too dangerous.
They really are. And, I mean, you can't put Kevin Love near him.
No.
I mean, you really can't. Durant could have 130 if you put Kevin Love on him. So, I mean, really, this is going to be different for LeBron. LeBron could really, as you cherry pick, right? I mean, he could wait. I'm not saying he would basket hang, but, I mean, he didn't have to play whoever he was playing on last year. And, I picked out Harrison Barnes, but Barnes had a terrible series last year. He was in an awful funk shooting, and it never got any better. And really, besides Curry and Thompson and Draymond Green, and remember in Game 5 they didn't have Draymond Green, they weren't as powerful offensively as we made them out to be because they really didn't have another scorer in the game. Now, Harrison Barnes had a great series the year before when they won the title. But now you're adding a very, very special player, maybe a top 10, maybe a top 10 of all time when he's finally
potentially.
Well, he's got to win some titles, right? I mean, but Durant is an exceptional player. I mean, he's everything. He's 7 feet tall, and he's got a shooter's touch, and he's long. And the other thing that he can do too is, he can defend. Right. You get lost in his offensive numbers, and I think that LeBron may have Durant on both ends of the floor.
Well, and also you have Iguodala off the bench, and he's the guy that seems to really relish playing against LeBron. He was the MVP of the series 2 years ago.
Right.
I mean, LeBron had big numbers, but Iguodala likes playing against him, and I think Draymond Green in certain situations likes going up against LeBron because he wants to feel like, hey, I'm the best all-around player in the NBA, and Draymond has that attitude and swagger about him.
Here's the thing, the thing that's really going to be interesting, I think Draymond Green will play Love. Mm-hmm. And I think on the other side, because Durant's in the game now, Love is probably going to have to play Draymond Green down at the other end.
Yes.
And that's tough. That's going to be a tough cover for him. That's why maybe somebody like Shumpert's probably going to have to get in and get a lot more minutes than he has maybe in the other series. That's the Durant factor, I think, and the problem with it. Coming into the game. There's a lot of pressure on Love. Right. There really is, because Kevin he's got to help out Tristan Thompson. Yes. It can't be a one-man rebounding, game in there. The Celtics could not rebound with Thompson, so you could play a one-rebounder game for the Cavaliers. But Golden State's got Pachulia, and they have some other people that can get to the board. Green gets to the board very well. So Love has to get in there and do some dirty work. This is not just a night where you make sure your feet are behind the three-point line and shoot.
Yeah, I mean, and we saw this, and I feel like, again, it's the same path for the Cavs' success. Kevin Love doesn't necessarily have to score 20 points, but if he can get 12 to 15 rebounds and still be scoring in double figures, that's almost that's really what you want, because that either keeps possessions alive or ends Golden State possessions. Then you let LeBron and Irving do what they're able to do, which is drive to the basket and create opportunities that way offensively.
Yeah, and we haven't talked about the bench and the benches in these games. This is where Korver, J.R. Smith, not really considered a bench player because he plays, but I mean he's playing like a bench player. I mean J.R. Smith is he's 6 points off his average from the playoffs from last year. He was 12 last year. I think he's 6 right now, and they need more. I mean, they're going to need some three-point shots, a lot of them probably.
I wonder if that means Channing Frye will get more playing time than what he did in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know.
The only problem with Channing Frye is I think that he really is one-dimensional as far as just being an offensive player, and they have some really tough defensive assignments coming into this game, and that is the whole ball of wax. The other thing that will be interesting is that Steph Curry really kind of disintegrated in the finals last year. I think physically, because he got hurt early in the playoffs. I think against Houston when he had the problem, but he had a little problem going into the playoffs. It was exacerbated early in the playoffs where he actually sat out some games. But I don't think he was ever 100%. The other thing mentally, he really kind of came apart because LeBron really got in his head. And it might have been the whole MVP snub.
Yeah, but I think the game here, that Game 6 here, where he ended up
threw the
mouthpiece.
Yeah.
He was never the same in Game 7.
Many times after a bad 7 o'clock show, I throw my mouthpiece, but I try to get it back together as quickly as I possibly can. But I do think he kind of came apart in his game. Now, there's another Durant factor there. Curry doesn't have to be the whole show right now that he had to be in these last couple of years. And I think he might be a little bit more comfortable. I think Irving loves playing against him. That's going to be we are talking about just great talent on both sides of the floor. So we're talking about matchups. You're talking about LeBron and Durant, but Irving and Curry is going to be really something. And I think Irving thinks he can win that.
Klay Thompson is a guy you didn't mention there.
Very quiet.
He's been really quiet
all year,
really all season.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy that's been, I think, most affected as far as what his game has been allowed to progress because of the Durant factor.
And I wonder if maybe if there's so much emphasis on Durant and Curry, if he might get more opportunities for shots. You mentioned last night, we talked about a pathway for success for the Cavs. One of the things that you're pretty confident in is the Cavs are going to have to get one of these first 2 games in Golden State, either tonight or Sunday, and you'd love to get that home court advantage seized here tonight in this first game.
Yeah, I just think coming back here down 2-0, and I know they came back here down 2-0 last year, but remember then they went back there down 3-1. I think getting in a big hole against these guys is less retrievable this year than it was last year. And let's face it, I mean, it was historic. It was a miracle what they did last year. Okay, to ask them to do that again this year, I think is going to be very, very difficult. So I think you got to get one of these 2 and come back here at 1-1. I think tonight is one that you can really focus on. I think that you would count on Golden State just being a tick off of where they're razor sharp, and if they're a tick off, I believe they turn the ball over. I mean, I'll tell you something. When you watch them play sometimes, they would give me a migraine, okay, if I was on their bench, because they're very careless and carefree sometimes. But these are the finals, and turnovers go back the other way, and really you pay the price for that. So I think if they're off a little bit tonight and they're turning the ball over early, that's a good sign for the Cavaliers that they, first of all, are going to get the ball more, and second of all, they're going to have a better opportunity. And, I mean, I guess the last thing is you talked right at the open about one of the things Golden State does, and they do it so well at home, they get on, they turn a couple of quick baskets, a 4-point swing or 6-point swing into like a 12-0 run, get the crowd at the Oracle going. It's a loud place. It's a tough place to win. And then all of a sudden you're digging yourself out of a big hole, and it's hard to do that against Golden State. Yeah. It really is. I mean, the Cavs are looking at the San Antonio model, which looked like it was going to work.
Yes.
Okay, in the Western Conference Final, Golden State had a pretty hefty layoff like the Cavs had in between their series in the East going into the San Antonio series. San Antonio had a long series going in the walk-up to that series against Golden State, and then had game 1. I mean, really, 25, 26-point lead out there in Oracle. The Warriors are a mess. Kawhi Leonard went down. Now, the Cavaliers are looking at that and saying, hey, listen, if we do that and we don't have a key guy go down, we're going to hold on to that lead and we're going to win the game. And then once I think, Dave, in most series, in playoff series, I think you get one shot to win on the road.
Yep.
Okay? So if you have I think that was San Antonio's shot. Game 2 was not a game.
Right.
In fact, none of the games after that were a game. So I think if tonight is winnable and the Cavs can get that, I think then we have a series. But I think that if you waste a shot, if you have a shot to win it and you don't get it, I think it's tough then. I really believe in the philosophy that not just this series, but most playoff series, you get one shot to win on the road.
Yeah. We'll see if the Cavs can take advantage of it if and when that comes their way here tonight. Again, they'll tip it off just after 9 o'clock. Dave Chudowski is out at the Oracle with Jason Lloyd, so we'll look forward to hearing from them. I know they'll have a Facebook Live coming up. Matt Florjancic is at the watch party at the Q. We've got you covered at WKYC.com for full Game 1 coverage tonight, and then Jimmy will wrap it up. Hopefully it'll end by the time you're on for sports. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows how that goes? But we'll have full Cavs coverage for you tonight at WKYC.com and here on Facebook Live as well. For Jim Donovan, I'm Dave DeNatale. Thanks for watching the Donovan Live postgame show here at WKYC.